Yo, 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 welcome to Crate 808 and another episode of Hip Hop Heads Talking Horror. And
that was
today,
a Trump glitch.
Trump glitch. Yeah, there's too many glitches in real life in 2024. There's assassination attempts. This is quite nice to go back in time to see something that talks about the future, actually. And that's why today we are talking about 40 years of the Terminator. James Cameron's...
we paralleling it with Trump's assassin? Do we think that I guess what, Wayland Yutani sent back these people to shoot Trump?
Bro.
That's why they're so bad at it?
Let's get into it. I'm looking forward to finding all these parallels, man. Absolutely. And Curly Castro, there he is. Call That Culture's Curly Castro, Alaska Adams in the hot seat. How you doing, guys? How you doing, Alaska?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Just had my morning bagel, ready to get into some Cyberdyne systems, find the parallels with real life, and talk about a great slasher movie.
Boom. I like the way you're going off the top rope. Love that. Exposing that turnbuckle. I've enjoyed that. Did anybody watch Cameron's directorial debut? I was going to watch Piranha 2, The Spawning, just to kind of think, where was
I think I've seen a number of Piranhas. They all kind of blend. I've seen the one with like Ving Rhames is more modern. Then the old ones
Piranha
look real cheesy. Yeah, I did see that. And then the old ones look cheesy. So I didn't even know he had done a Piranha to even know to look at his version of it. Because the first one is all, the Piranha duty is bad. Like you see the fish coming up. And then the first one is like just like swarming fish. And then I don't know. Piranhas are always weird to me. I was always very, very scared of them.
Yeah, they are viciously like top 5 most feared things for me as well. If I was to put my hand in,
but I think it's cinema and media that has made us like, you put your finger in there, they'll just eat it up, and you're like, what? Like, who won't,
It's the Jaws effect.
Last Dragon. Remember, Eddie Arkanian had his tank of piranhas.
There we go. Yeah. There we go. What a great name, Eddie Arkanian. I love that. But yeah, man, so before anyone jumps on, spoilers ahead, we will be spoiling the shit out of this film. If you haven't watched it now, it's 1984. Come on, where have you been? But yeah, no, I mean, like you said, slasher film. I do want to talk about why I think it's a horror as well. But I thought kicking it off, 40 years, man. And what makes you think this film why does it still hold power over us today? Why has it lasted? Yeah, please, Castro.
His answer. It's Cameron's detail. Like there's one slick ass fucking thing about this movie is when he's first chasing him, he's wearing the stuff he took from what's our guy from Aliens?
Bill Paxton.
Yeah, the stuff he took from Bill Paxton's boy, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Kyle and them are driving, and Kyle's shooting. No, they're running. And Kyle starts shooting at some car, but when he's getting into the car he stole, at the exhaust, and it blows up. And Arnold runs through it and jumps in their car. And from that moment on, he has no eyebrows.
Yeah.
He has no eyebrows, so he's looking. The main part of the movie is the stalk. This thing that doesn't die and won't stop, and it's going to keep hunting you, just like Jason, just like Freddy. But then the body horror of it. Mm-hmm. And it's getting more, but when I was watching it this morning, and I said, he doesn't have any eyebrows. And I'm looking, I'm like,
I had the same realization, dude.
I'm like, yo, they took the eyebrows out right after that fire, which would burn off your eyebrows. He was a little singed. I was like, that is so important, even though it seems so, people run through fire, it seems so inconsequential. But the detail, Cameron was not playing like, and then obviously to me, the big horror moment is when you, two of them, when he gets up at the shotgun, when he gets up, and you're like, okay, this is different. And the red Terminator vision, when he goes when you start seeing that, you're like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, this thing is not staying down. So, but it's great because of the detail.
The eyebrows, Cindy, the eyebrows disappearing add a real element of creepiness and unsettlingness.
He looks crazy. He looks buck. Yeah, he doesn't.
Looks like the Michael Myers mask, dude.
Yes. And then when he goes and works on his eye, it's CGI a certain way because of the year, but it makes it look even worse. Like this thing, and then he puts the glasses on, so it makes it look a little more normal. But even when he puts the glasses on, he still has no eyebrows. And I'm just like, yo,
Yeah, the Michael Myers things is so important because it's another movie monster that's kind of been made like into an icon. People might not go straight to horror, sci-fi, action, that kind of thing, so it blurs the lines. But the hair as well, like, you know, when he goes through that fire, the hair's fucked as well. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah,
like,
when he fixes his eyes, I don't maybe they meant to do it, but he like pats his hair in that seedy hotel mirror and stuff. Like, let me make sure I don't look too crazy yet. I got this, like, I'm putting he is acting like a robot. I'm putting sunglasses on, my eyes damaged, so I don't want to see that. Let me just do a little something so I don't look too crazy.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of character to it. Yeah, absolutely.
You knew you had to blend in at least.
Yeah, that's
you didn't get to berserker mode yet.
Director,
yet. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man, absolutely. I think one of the reasons is because it is like everyday vernacular. Anything that looks into the future, by the time we get to 2027, we're like, oh shit, this is what, I don't know, Terminator, Back to the Future, whatever. You know, this is that year, and you kind of just reassess as humans how we've grown, like from 1984. Like, oh my God, we genuinely thought that shit was
it's really an 80s thing. But that's what's so creepy is it's all this sci-fi high tech, but not really. It's still very 80s. They have to use phone books. They have to hunt things like that. The worst moment in the movie to me, because even when I was younger, I always think, you know, I'm not understanding plot and stuff. I'm just watching it. Is when she fucking calls her house after he kills Shorty in the movie would have went fine. He thought he did the mission. Then he started looking because when she called him, he went and looked for the address book to find mom's crib, whatever. But he also got an ID of her. Remember, they don't have the record, so they didn't really know. He's just going down the phone book. And she would have survived if she didn't call, leave a message, and then he said, "Oh, I didn't kill the right one."
Yeah,
I always think about that part.
Could have ended right there.
Yeah, but absolutely. No, but the true terrifying moment was like, first of all, the first Sarah Connor, she was 35. Oh God, and then he just pushes the door and then shoots, and you're like,
what the fuck is going on?
That's not, that's not what, you know, she's in like a house mom dress, like, you know what I'm saying? Hair curl.
Broad daylight, suburban neighborhood.
Yes, exactly.
Kids outside playing.
People walking them, so it's not like you're creeping at night, waiting for the opportune moment. No, I'm busting through the chain, and I'm just shooting you in the head. And I was like, yo,
multiple times.
But the disturbing the domestic calm and tranquility. This guy wearing, like, you know, 80s tech stuff, and he's just also, going in.
Do you know, as a kid growing up with this film, so I'm watching it at like 8 when I first started, and then like into the teens, it did start hitting me like, America's fucked, man. Like, the guy just got,
from your perspective, it looked. The guy it looked dirty. It was a dirty, dusty city.
True, but it wasn't just that. It was, I'm going to the gun store. I'm legal. Well, he doesn't legally buy them, but you can legally buy a gun. You don't always go to the suburbs to do this shit. Like, it might be inner cities. But this guy went to the suburbs and just killed her with a legal weapon.
It's so seedy, Cam.
That's crazy.
So seedy. Like, look how easily Kyle Reese is able to evade cops, get a gun, get clothes, and then just walk in the streets looking like a dirty bum. You know what I mean? Like, that's how bad it is out here. He's evading cops easily. Busted in the store, stealing clothes.
Got that duster on.
He did that in like 20 minutes.
Yeah. He got the freshest Nikes out of the bin.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Those Nikes would have never been in that bin.
No, not
I used to go to Alexander's. They would never be in that bin.
What was the store? Was it Alexander's or was it Woolworths? Was it Alexander's?
I don't even know what that one was. But the one by me was Alexander's, like the department store.
But that was my most hip-hop moment. There's a few hip-hop moments in this whole
the Nikes with the strap. Yeah,
I had those in middle school, dude.
Boom.
I had those sneakers.
And also to the horror effect, it was very much a lean, like I said, with that red vision and the music. Yeah. So when the red vision would come on, you hear the boom, 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 boom. And then the chases were always and there was a lot of chases. You don't realize a lot. It's like 3 or 4 car chases. They're running on foot, he's chasing them with the truck. Like that stalk, that relentless, like, not just that this is supernatural, like say Jason or Freddy, but this thing is inhuman, so it's not going to stop. And we don't even have the weapons to stop it. And it don't sleep. It came later in Tropes when they say, it's like the alien. It doesn't sleep. You can't talk to it. You know what I'm saying? You can't reason with it. You can't make a bargain. You can't pay it off. It's just not going to stop until you're dead. And even when, spoiler alert, when it's even a half person still crawling towards her. Like, it won't stop under any circumstance.
But it is like the future. It is like the inevitable dark future will come for you no matter what you do in life. It's just going to keep slowly. Yeah, death is coming. It's just constant.
Alaska, what did you think about when you saw the opening scene that's in the apocalypse. Like, what was that? What did you feel like that? You know, when they open it up and they're running from the...
When I originally saw it or just watching?
No, when you originally kind of saw it.
I mean, I thought it was crazy. Like, isn't that...
Because you were into Star Wars by then a little bit.
I was done with Star Wars by then.
But so it's like, this is not the future. It's not shiny, you know what I'm saying?
No, it's not. But Star Wars was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It wasn't in the future.
Yeah, true.
It's a little time loop they do with us.
But, oh, Jesus. I thought it was crazy. Like, I'd never seen anything like that before.
Like, I think I've seen, like, I was watching Battlestar Galactica and all those little space shows that were on.
But the scope of, like, the ground was just bones.
Yeah.
There was nothing like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and this is, see, you had a dream? James, man, you need to go to therapy. I mean, I guess you turned to you're having dreams as we wake up. Ooh, what?
Yeah. He had a fever
But that
dream.
was like nuclear, you know, like that was the threat that hung over everybody's head in the 80s.
Well, I asked my mom about that Cuban Missile Crisis specifically, like, you know, because I was in the 70s and kids were like getting under desks because they were literally like right off Florida, if you will. So I just wondered what that was about. I didn't grow up in the nuclear age with the
I mean, but even in the 80s, they had movies like The Day After and shit like that. Like, there was always like the threat
war
of
games,
nuclear annihilation hanging over you. Yeah, War Games, another one. Just like that was always there.
But it was never led by like AI. That version of AI.
And it was never shown like, yo, it happened.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing. Like this is happening. They're running around. The kids were dirty, eating rats. Yeah. Like it was rough looking.
But that's
real rough looking.
I think
a big part of why this movie stays is because everybody secretly dreams of witnessing the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
like it's hardwired into us. I think that we're all sort of like we're intrigued by that idea that we might be part of the last batch of humanity, and hopefully the very few remnants that just claw our way back.
Yeah.
To civilization. There's something that's very like ingrained in us that we have that desire. Like that's why all like these fucking horde movies comes out, like these zombie hordes, like the collapse of society.
Did anybody see the series C? It was on Apple TV.
No.
Z?
C. S-E-E. So this one is really interesting. I love this one. It got Jason Momoa in it. And civilization falls because it's too much tech. So they kind of ban tech when they rebuild themselves. But everybody's blind.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Everybody's blind. So they all it's a world of blind, and then a couple of people get born, they have sight.
But if they're using any tools, they're using tech. They realize that.
No,
right?
so they ban things. So they call things like God bone and God wood. You hear it in my rhyme sometimes. So that's like God bone is like metal. So you can use like primitive stuff, but they had outlawed all books,
still tech, bro.
All computers. No, I'm saying like they'll do industry, and stuff like that, and steam and stuff. But they stop. Like they live in forests. They lose a lot of wooden things. Like there's no planes. There's no more computers. The libraries are hidden. The people that have
at
sight.
One point, metal was the height of technology.
No, indeed. No, I'm just saying. They call it God bone and God flame. Like they still have forges and make things, and eventually they bring bombs into the mix, which thinking about blowing up 100 blind people. It's really interesting. But they banned it because they thought the tech, satellites, and flying all led them to civilization falling in the first place. So,
and I think that's also part of it, because since that movie, think about how quickly we've jumped to where we are right now since 84.
in terms of tech?
Yeah. So that remains. I mean, like what? Like when fucking ChatGPT came out, all people talked about Cyberdyne systems.
Yeah. Skynet. Yeah. We use the word Skynet in Vanessa.
As adjective. As adjective.
That's how big this film really is, and the writing behind it. The fact that we still say, "Oh, that's Skynet. Don't worry about it. It's going to happen."
We have a rapper that started his solo career talking about the apocalypse. Busta. That was everything. We have 4 years. I remember this day just ringing in every album. We have 3 years left, and he had the guy narrating at the beginning. To Alaska's point about being fascinated or obsessed with the apocalypse, there was always that, and the day after, and what will survive, and who will survive. And we watch The Last of Us, we watch Walking Dead, we watch all of these series that are about this thing that's making us all comfortable and kind of cushy, and we have these diplomatic things going on internationally, but we're kind of okay. This all can collapse and fall back to soil and grass and trees. And nature can retake this planet. Like I tell everybody all the time, look, if the earth wants to, it just open itself up and swallow. And close up, and then trees gonna grow back, the animals will be crushed, beneath the court, seriously.
Yeah.
So
there's that idea of like there's like this thing called the Silurian hypothesis, where the idea is that, if you think about the scope of how long the Earth has been around, right? Mm-hmm. There's no way that we could actually tell if there was an advanced civilization before we came, like before, humans came, right? Because the way like the continents shift, the rising and sinkings of the seas, the way like societies will be crumbled hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles underneath like the surface,
right?
And like just if you think about like how quickly buildings can crumble from not taking
so the evidence can be wiped out and restarted, and we didn't know. It definitely can. Yeah.
So that's like the idea of like looking back far enough that the Earth may have done this numerous times. Like
exactly. How would we know? Right. Exactly.
Right. Exactly. We would never know.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's that fascinating precipice. Are we the last ones of this era? You know, and that's just not horror.
Well,
that's
it's the ego of we think we're the first and the last. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I always think like, no matter how spiritual you are or religious you are, heaven's kind of crowded. Like, a lot of people up there. You know what I mean? So like,
but we're all in our own movies, right? That's the perspective. We're all in our own film. So as we go around this earth, just as a star of our own film, you just the perspective gets completely lost, which is why this film's good for straight away. By the way, the ending is this. The ending is everything's shit.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll show you how to get there.
Yeah,
yeah. And you're like, oh right, so there is no good guy wins.
And those that's see the genius of this is there's a lot of basic movie tropes in this film.
Yeah. And
like Cameron's good telling a story, but he did follow a lot of whatever movie rules there were back then. Like I said, her calling and him hearing things of that nature. So, but to still make it so grand, some things date themselves just because of how stories were told. Not necessarily how films are made, but how stories were told at a certain point. And he does a lot of little basic movie shit. And it's fantastic.
Well, that's actually interesting. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, Alaska, as well, because my first point about this film was watching it again now, especially with all these other films I've watched since with the CGI and everything. I was like, for such a kind of small film, there's only a few actors, there's only a few characters. The grand scheme the theme is massive,
right?
But the film itself is very small, and it makes it massive. As in, this is what great horror does generally. If you can make something like this, makes a B movie, levels it up and just shows you how much power you can just have in ideas, creative, interesting characters, and like a fuller relationship with some actually really good storytelling and pacing. And for a chase film, I hate chase films, but I was like, do you know what? The only chase films I don't mind, and this is what I equated to. This is the original Mad Max. T2 is Fury Road, and it's like they're both chase films. Yeah. They're both that kind of vibe. One has got more budget, but essentially they have the same DNA. This is why I love T2, because yes, it's like shiny, but it is still got that under the belly where, damn, we are all still gonna have a nuclear bomb fall on us. Do you know what I mean? So yeah,
but also like the like I said with the common movie tropes. What's the guy named Bane?
Yeah,
he's an exposition bomb.
Yeah,
but you don't get tired of it. The way he's like, but he's giving so much information. I remember when he was in a police station. They're running down the whole story. He's explaining everything with the numbers and the serial things, and he starts screaming at the camera. I'm like, nowadays, you can really mess that up. This person, it's just exposition. All they're doing is explaining stuff all movie. They have plot armor for a while because you still got to hear what they have to say because they're giving us. But think about it. The future is really the Terminator, as scary as he is, and Kyle Reese's mouth. We don't have any other evidence of that. There's no future guns, no, and the flash and the dream sequences, his flashbacks. And so that's what we're built on in terms of like this high tech killing machine. That's not a lot of evidence. It's not like there's 3 or 4 of them running around.
No, but that's why it was so important that the arm was still sticking. That there was something left behind that helped keep the loop going because the loop never ends.
It does. Yeah. Well, and when you first saw the movie, like even when you were young, did y'all have a problem figuring out if Kyle was there to help, or if like both of them were after Sarah Connor? No, Kyle was kind of creeping around.
I see that first, but I think initially, I don't know, maybe it was the box cover because that kind of gives you the idea that this guy is the bad guy, or the robot. But Yeah,
Well,
I never saw that confusion.
He also punched through Bill Paxton's chest, or not Bill Paxton, the guy from
yeah, his friend. Yeah, he's doing more. But Kyle is running from cops. He hit one and took the gun. So I remember just kind of being like, "Who's this guy?" It didn't. The protagonist, antagonist, common tropes were like blurred out. This guy is like, he's not, he's not white hat and Arnold was black hat.
But he was more like Rambo in First Blood, right? Yeah. He was like a dude that was put in a situation, and you kind of felt that, like the cops didn't have the information that he had, and they were trying to stop him, and he knew he couldn't, so he had to do whatever he had to do, and I felt like that was kind of clear from the start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
With that.
On that, when he first comes and he's just in with the bums on the street, I'd kind of love the idea of how mainstream culture, not just cinema, just pop culture, got influenced by one of the grittiest horror sci-fis. And I was like, yeah, there aren't many moments like that. Alien came out, that influenced pop culture. We talked about that on the last episode, right? But I was like, yeah, Terminator is another one where you're like, oh shit, this is actually really grimy. He's in with the bums, like, you know what I mean? He's right on the street, like you said. It's a dusty old city, and yeah, man, just seeing it from our end, like they said, you're transported to a new world. I had some points on why this is a horror, because I have talked to a few people and they're like, yeah, I can see it was a horror, but it's more action sci-fi, and T2's more. I was like, yeah, get it, but I was thinking, for example, why this is a horror. I think it merges the sci-fi, just like Alien, really well. I was trying to think of others that do this, and I landed on a holy quadrinity, I think is probably the word, of action, sci-fi, and horror. All done well. Let me know if you need any more here. But I've gone with the Terminator, Alien, which we talked about. I'm going with Predator and The Thing.
Yeah.
So here's something that's common to all four. Hit me right. The body horror.
Yes.
Like, it's not just enough that this thing is coming after you per se. Like, damn, what was that movie? Oh man, I can't remember what it's called. Screamers. And those are like mechanic things, and they were hiding scanners or screamers. Yeah, it was like that. Scanners, I think it was. But the body horror of The Thing, you know what I mean? The body horror of Predator, and being in the jungle covered in mud, and this thing is looking even uglier by the second. And the same thing with this, Arnold doing repairs on his arm and stuff like that, and the eye. And then later on, he gets scraped up by the truck. So now his face, and jumps in the truck, get out. And then later on, he gets burnt fully. Now he's this limping, totally metallic, stop motion thing. And it's like each level is just like even getting worse. And then, Sarah, there's all these moments that Sarah, they didn't have the fake out with the truck explosion, but Sarah's always like exhaling, like, okay, finally. And no, he's still reaching for it. He still gets up, and he's like, oh my God. This guy won't stop. And he gets into, when he gets ran over by the truck and then gets up and turns the truck around, and she's yelling at Kyle, get up, soldier! Like, we gotta go. This guy's going on rampage.
That's where she turns, I think. That's when the
big turn. Yes,
that's where the T2 Sarah Connor turns up. What do you think?
Ain't that wonderful? Even seeing like what's the last one, Dark Fate or whatever like that. To see young Linda Hamilton before this Sarah Connor character.
Yep.
It's just incredible. Like, her hair's poofed.
She got the Bon Jovi hair going.
She's just a waitress. She's overwhelmed. You know what I'm saying? She's single. The guy standing up.
Sherbert in her apron.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I have a special category for that girl, for that kid who did that later.
Oh,
but yeah, no, such a piss take.
Cam, to your point with those four movies, those four movies were directed by some of the most important directors of the last 4 years.
Also true. Also
like even Predator was directed by the guy that did like Die Hard, Hunt for Red October, Last Action Hero, the Thomas Crown Affair, like all these fucking huge movies.
And then Alien, of course, is
Ridley Scott. Carpenter did The Thing. Like
these are institutions. They definitely were institutions.
But they're also quite close to each other. True. They're all very close together in the same school. Like, I would say they would all go to that same high school, right? Of horror. I was thinking of other mentions of like, so you're merging action, science fiction, horror. And the other ones weren't really anywhere near that level. I was like, yeah, shit, it is them four. So I had The Fly, but it doesn't really have the action.
There's a lot of body horror in that, but he doesn't get aggressive and then institute the stalk, what I'm always going to bring up. He doesn't do that until the end. He's kidnapping her and he's...
And even then, it's a closed situation for the most part.
Exactly. It's not a grand
He
thing.
goes and gets her and brings her back to the lab.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, you can't stop this machination of putting us in the transporter together.
But what about the two that have it on the grand theme then, which is I had Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which again might not have the action, but The Mist. And I was like, The Mist has that action trope of like trying to shoot down monsters as they're coming through to you.
Right.
There's an impending horror. They're coming constantly.
I'll say this because this is where we come in with Japanese horror. The Mist, the inevitability of the thing that you're fighting, that's big in horror, especially Japanese horror, where you can't win. So The Mist was one of those, you're not really winning. So I get the action, you're fighting off things as they attack, but it doesn't matter because there's more things, and we need to get away from the mist itself. We can't fight through the creatures.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. Yep.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Other things that are horror tropes in Terminator, the female mate, like the final girl, the final girl, of course,
she was.
But also evading a big male. Like it isn't like a female till later. It is that big male. Yeah. And also, I was looking at Ginger. I have a category for Ginger the roommate because there are questions I need to ask about this girl. But she's amazing. But also, she is the one that has sex and isn't, in inverted commas, pure. So you have that idea as well. But then I suppose Linda Hamilton
does. But they twisted because Kyle is a virgin, and I think I watched some director version because I don't remember this. You see Linda Hamilton's tits when they have sex.
Yeah,
and I think this version is why I didn't see that. So I was watching it this morning. I was like, oh, this must be the one where, like TV stuff or whatever. Sometimes your memory, to me, sometimes goes to that TV version that you watch 20 times as opposed to the R-rated version that's original with no cuts. So I saw it. I was like, oh, okay, they got I remember the sex, but I don't remember seeing full frontal from them. So they put that in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, so like the trope of the promiscuous one getting murked. Like he beat homeboy up pretty bad.
Yeah. True. That's very through to the fucking through a wall, mate. Yeah, absolutely. But she does have sex.
You even have in a lot of horror movies, the sort of male who's supposed to be the protector.
Yes, they can't do anything.
Oft.
Yes,
really
because, to your point, the guy was in shape. When he said, "Don't make me mess you up," he did swing the lamp
Kyle Reese. Like Kyle Reese, there's in all horror movies, there's a lot of horror movies, there's always like a male character that's along for the ride that the woman's leaning on to help her.
Right.
And then he gets killed and she's really alone and has to fight. And that's when she finds her final girl abilities.
That's it. And like you said, get up, soldier. That's the moment. That's the Heather Langenkamp moment in Elm Street, where it's just there is a moment.
Passes out and I think it's shot when he's holding the thing and it blows and he's just exhausted. So he falls back and she's driving oh, I got to get away from this guy. And
then, And that's the thing as well. I suppose a lot of good horror has that the future is not going to be bright. There is a bad end coming either way. Death is around every corner. That's cool. But I think the exposition you talked about earlier, I can't remember how long it is, but it's definitely after the half-hour mark that we get any explanation of what's happening. Where you're apart from the flash forwards, I have no idea what's happening here.
Yeah, he's going to kill Sarah Connors. Kyle is sneaking around, and our main Sarah Connor is just going about her life until she sees the news of Sarah Connor's getting killed. So we still don't really know. Even when he gets transported from the future, it's a look away. We don't see Arnold materialize out of nothing. The black guy in the truck does. And he runs off. And then you see Kyle get dropped from the sky with his thing. I think the version I saw, they showed a little black hole in the corner, which I think might have been added to that. So you still not
wasn't in the version I saw, and I was expecting that. Where the dumpster is the truck is cut.
Right. They don't.
That might be part 2, though.
That's part 2. But in this one, when Kyle pops in, there's a little hole in the on the top corner, which they may have added, and some lightning, and then he kind of falls to the ground. So again,
I didn't notice that.
You won't see it. It's in the couple of, but no, he's talking about the little black hole. You don't see it. It's in the upper left. So it's something they could have added or wasn't in the float in the theater cut or whatever one we seen. And so what I'm saying is the sci-fi is still up in the air. You still don't really know because you saw the apocalypse and then you see these people fall with lightning. So you still don't really know what's going on. They're not like I said, of the time, I think V popped up in the 80s. So technology future looked like something. And this one didn't. And they were just dropped in the past and led to, with their own tech, the tech they brought with him being a Terminator's body and Kyle's ingenuity. So it's still, it's like, well, what's going on? This, what I'm saying? This looks, and it came out in the 80s. So this looks like around the corner from me. I've been to that techno club. You know what I mean? I remember all the payphone stuff. them looking at the payphone and then her using payphones. When she goes to the first payphone, when she sees she's in the bar at the pizza place, I think. And, and then she sees the newscast about it. It's fresh in my mind because I just watched it. She says, "Don't turn the channel." And then she tries to go to use the phone, and the phone is like out of order, and it has that little paper sign on it.
Little paper on it.
And there's this guy standing there.
Next to her, just watching.
Down. He's leering as hell. He's just looking up and down. I was like, what the fuck? I thought at first he's waiting for the phone. I was like, no, the phone's broken.
No, he's just watching her.
He's just glaring at her, and she just walks out. So just making everybody look creepy. Everything is off. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. She's calling Ginger. I want to talk about Ginger. What do you want to talk about, Ginger?
I had some other moments, I will. But the exposition thing I was talking about, and for that first act, there is not much dialogue either. Like, you have Bill Paxton, you have those little moments, you have the Sarah Connor moments, but generally there is no dialogue in that first act. I was like, this is amazing. And then that morality play in horror of killing all humans, if it's to the benefit of the earth vibe, is such a large theme that horror does play on. And I was thinking, you talked about Carpenter earlier, and this is Carpenter, bro. This whole film is Carpenter. The police shootout scene, that's Assault on Precinct 13. The Terminator, Michael Myers, we've already said that as well. The score is fucking iconic. Like, the Terminator score, Halloween score. I was like, this checklist I'm doing here of John Carpenter, like Cameron, I think more people need to just put respect on the Terminator Carpenter kind of axis, because there's so much to it. But I had some of the moments. But any thoughts on those? No, let's move it on. Yeah. No worries. I was going to talk about the Terminator as a monster, but let's talk about Ginger. Right? So what did you want to say, Castro, about this girl? The roommate, is fascinating just to watch on this.
She's standing next to Sarah when Sarah gets stood up on the phone.
Yeah.
And then also Pete Gang, he said, "I'll call you in a day or two." So like, it's not like something just tonight and we'll regain momentum tomorrow. Like, you're on the back burner. And she has the living boyfriend who's calling with the sexual innuendo, just goes into the sex talk on the phone. And she's just very carefree. She got the headphones on. I was big on a Walkman back then. I had my Walkman CD player, Walkmans and stuff like that. And she was just living it up with her little skirt on. Yeah, she had a boyfriend coming over to fuck her and shit. And they worked at the same place. I just wish I wish he thought she was Sarah Connor, because the movie would be over.
It would have been over. I don't think I've ever seen anyone on screen who loves headphones as much as Ginger. Right?
It's distracting from anything. She's having sex and he turns up her headphones. He's not wearing headphones.
Has anyone had sex with headphones on? This is another. It was like,
it reminds me of Roller Girl from Boogie Nights.
Oh, yes. Roller Girl. Yes, of course. Great shout. But no, I was like, has anyone...
I think it's like, that was like the newest technology at the time.
Right? So definitely they got this.
Like, this is the world, bro. It's the high-tech world.
This girl is she's making sandwiches.
There was big fear about the Walkman.
What do you mean, being distracted?
About it breaking down society by making everybody like, sort of like the way we fear phones.
Mad.
People feared Walkman back then. There's a whole episode of what the hell is it called? There's this podcast, it's called The Pessimist Archive, I think, where they talk about all of the things in society that people thought were going to be the end of the world. And there are things that are just
seatbelts.
Like the elevator. People thought the elevator was going to be the end of humanity.
Or with not just seatbelts. When they didn't let you drink and drive, they thought it was an impeachment of freedom. I can't have a couple of beers after I work. Everybody would say the same thing. I work all day. I can't have me a little beer at the end of my work
while I'm driving home.
I'm driving home. I'm a worker. Like, it was this justification of I'm slaving. Coal mine working, all types of weird factory shit. So they're like, I'm slaving all day. I can't have a cold brewski. You're going to take away my American right to have me a little beer after I've worked slave for 8 hours? That's crazy.
We're exactly the same. We just call it 5 and drive. So you can have 5 pints.
It's not safe. Seatbelts were safe. They would say, putting seatbelts, they make you have to wear it. I remember when cigarettes, you couldn't smoke cigarettes at bars.
Wait, are you saying that people have always been irrational, Castro?
Is this what you're saying?
It just sounds so fun. Like the things we learned to live with. I remember, I'm old enough when they used to smoke in airports.
Oh, yeah.
In hospitals. And I wasn't in the hospitals necessarily. Restaurants, that little. Yeah. I remember the airport because it would be, I was old enough, so they started doing the smoking lounges. So it'd be like a smoking area, but it'd be so much stick smoke that's bleeding everywhere. Oh, yeah. I remember 9 smoking sections at Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
Wow.
when pizza was like a sit down place with the low hanging lights and looked like a lounge and shit like that. Like it looked like the Regal Beagle.
Yeah,
and there would be just smoke in this corner, and it'd be low hanging right above the lights. And people coughing, you just go into town. And we be like, and you go to these restaurants and your mom, and they be like, smoking or non-smoking? I'm like, there is no real barrier. It's nothing.
It's not a separate room.
There's no barrier. It just is.
So overseas, what was the smoking like?
No, same. Everywhere you went, I remember the next day when they stopped smoking, and every nightclub just stank because the smoke would cover BO, the smokes would cover just general human.
Your clothes would smell like cigarette. And then the cigarette break became a big thing. Before they started making the rules about outside. Being farther away, they would be all gathered outside from the back door would be propped open, and they'd be right outside their little offices. And I remember when people started doing that, like in the winter. And they would just huddle together.
I used to smoke, so I used to do all that.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, some of like my best friends are people I met.
Smoke breaks. Going
outside, like
got a cigarette
or something, and going outside and having a cigarette.
Yes, people if they would smoke, and you would start like, "Hey man, you got a cigarette," and then that would start a whole thing. Yeah,
that's the community. Love that. But yeah, other shout on Ginger. Damn sandwiches, bro. I'm a big sandwich fan.
Oh, that was a massive sandwich. Because look how long it took her. Her man was getting beat to death while she was making a sandwich. It took a while.
I timed it, bro. It was like minutes on minutes on minutes. I was like, this is ridiculous. If I'm doing that in it was so gutting to see it wasted. It was just like, she's dead.
She dropped it.
Yeah, and I was like,
who's going to eat the sandwich?
Man,
no the Terminator don't want the sandwich.
The cat, the iguana.
Point about those headphones.
Yes, with the phone. Yes.
You heard everything going on around you. So she heard her boyfriend getting murdered and was like, I don't give a fuck. I got a sandwich.
Do you think it wasn't noise canceling enough?
They're not noise cancellers. That's what I'm saying. They literally just rest on the top of your ear. You can hear everything. It's not.
They were the worst.
And that's what I was like.
She was totally distracted. She didn't want to hear the answer machine. She didn't want to hear her boyfriend.
She got everything she needed from him at that moment.
Oh my goodness.
But I was thinking, what's the song she's listening to while she's fucking her boyfriend? This is crazy. That as a boyfriend, if that was me, I would feel a little bit off put. Like, just take
he's
the
used
headphones.
to it. He turned the volume up. This is part of the kink. He knows the deal.
That was part of the kink. Exactly. Absolutely. So I have some other bits here. Terminator as a monster. So this is one thing I want to talk to you guys about. Like, I mean, the word iconic is thrown around, but this is 40 years since this. We're going to do Elm Street. We're going to do Texas. Bro, these are iconic for a reason, right? Yeah. And I was watching this and thinking back to 84, and I was thinking at that time, slashers had been jumping, ramping up. And at this point, they just needed to be a revamp. Now, I was 4 when this came out, and I can't speak to that, but just looking back on it from like when I was 14, and I was like, holy shit, all these 70s things are kind of very samey.
Well, they had all the holiday ones, Santa is this, and
all the holiday
things.
Exactly, the Valentine's ones. Yeah. And I think this idea of him as a monster, like truly victimizing these people, and at the same time making us ask very dark questions about humanity. It's the whole Thanos thing. Like, is it right to just kill everyone if it's, right for the future of the Earth kind of thing? And then the idea of this monster, again, Frankenstein, Freddy, Michael, it blurs the category between the living and the dead and morality all in one. I was like, the Terminator does that really well. Like, is it living? Is it not dead? And you talked about it earlier, but I was like, the bit where he leaves the voice machine, and it's just a really trippy thing to hear him change his voice. Are you really talking to a human? Crazy. Or are you talking to a voice? And today we talk about 2024, and the fact that even the answer message says, just joking. You think you're talking to someone real.
That gag.
But it's actually a machine. And then she says, robots need love too. And it's all just coalescing in this moment. I was like, the Terminator as a monster personifies something ultimately deeper than, Michael Myers. Like, Michael Myers is amazing, but there's a depth.
Well, it skews our perception of things. We know what a robot looks like. That's why I brought up like Battlestar Galactica, the old one. They had that big red crimson robot and that little robot. And in Star Wars, what C-3PO looks like, what RJ-D2 looks like. This one looks like us.
Yeah.
So it's throwing you off. And when he shot it and it got up, you're like, oh, it is a robot. And like, as the movie goes on, you see Sarah only can believe Kyle. The cops don't know what the hell's going on. Her friend is getting killed. So, but what he's saying, like, this is a robot, had the endoskeleton, it's just like freaking me out. I'm like, that's not a robot. But it is. It's walking through fire. It's walking through explosion. It's killing entire police stations. You never saw that before. The police come, the sirens come. Like the police were very much a prop in this whole movie. They were totally ineffective. They didn't help at all. They didn't distract him. Like I remember when he crashed the police car that he stole and he ran out, which I always thought was weird because he's a robot. He probably could have just killed everybody, but he had to repair himself. His hand wasn't working. Cameron, he has a way of thinking that his hand wasn't working right, so that's why he ran off.
Yes,
but like, you know what I mean. And so this robot that we're not familiar with, not in this form. You know what I mean? And it's on a hunt and it won't stop. I just remember the thing about it, because it's a robot, it doesn't have to sleep and get back up. Like it did drive through the night to get them at the motel or whatever, but it doesn't have to sleep. And, you know, when it's injured, it doesn't have to go and recoup. It just has to repair. That's a totally different type of beast. Like even when you get to Terminator 2, the scariest thing for me was that first chase. And I'm like, why is he running like that? He's right behind them. They're in a car. And he's not running and he's not getting tired. And, you know, the way he did the acting, he's running the same way. Like he's literally unstoppable. And you're in a car and you can't speed away from him and shit. And he's keeping pace. That was just crazy. The relentlessness of it was frightening.
Well, I also think that there's no, like, with the sort of like movie killers that we think of, they're still like, they're human, right? Or at least were. So there's a connection to the morality of the current society. Whereas this thing doesn't share. Like he just sees us as something that needs to be destroyed.
Right.
It's almost like you think about when like colonialism, right? There's this more technologically advanced society, weapons wise, that doesn't see you as people and sees basically what you have as something that it's their right to take and destroy.
Yeah.
And it's that same sort of like mindset of like, you don't matter. What matters is what we need.
Yeah.
We're going to destroy everything to get it.
Yeah, that's fascinating. No, absolutely. And what you talked about there, and not just destroy everything, destroy your ideas of what power is, of your own systems of power. Like every species has its own systems of power structures and stuff like that. Even this point where it's like, you're perfectly safe. You know, we've got like 30 cops in this building. And you're like, no, that system of power is nothing. That doesn't matter.
Remember he was explaining, he showed her the Kevlar. That's how he got up.
Yes.
He said, well, how'd she punch through a windshield? This is the 80s. You can't really punch through a windshield. First of all, these cars were taking massive damage and still going. Like he was shooting like shotguns into the car. Sorry, okay. And I was like, damn, and he's ramming the car into cop cars and ramming it into people and still going. And then the only thing that stops is when it runs out of gas.
Yeah, that's how cars used to be, man.
Just
build by putting like a screwdriver in the carburetor and it's still going to go.
Like they were shooting crossbody shotguns at each other, driving high speeds. There were times when Cameron would speed up the camera a little bit. And you look, but it just made it feel more intense with the music. Dun, 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 dun. I love that chase music.
Planned obsolescence, bro. That took over, and now everything's just going to fall to shit.
Can I bring up a major flaw that I saw this time?
It's
the first time I thought of it, but
please.
So, Cyberdyne Systems is based off satellites. Becomes aware, blows up the entire world, destroys everything. No more factories, no more machinery, no more people to build stuff for you.
Well, so they probably have controlled destruction where they can still keep themselves
that's
reproductive.
With what?
Like just the notion of just bear with me. They know.
I know. I understand.
So they'll build underground. They'll underground where their factories will be, and then blow up everything on the top. Now, I don't know about the timing because you're right. They say that it goes live and then they start firing the missiles. But there's a lot of, like we see in the third one, the underground bunkers do exist with different tech. And so Cyberdyne probably, remember, it's in everything. It's like Lawnmower Man.
It's also, but there's nothing left to build things.
I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? There's like no like you blow up the factory. Where's the material? To build the robots to build.
But I thought it was a bit more with Castro. I thought it was more strategically done, not just the like one swoop bang. I think that's why I imagined. I was like, there's no way. You know, they must have.
Well, when they show like in one of them, they show like the map of all the missiles going.
Just everywhere. But to Cam's point, it would probably be like, all right, let's blow up where the missiles would come from there first. There's like aliens when they come to the planet, they strategically go and disable the military, then they disable the electricity and shit, and then they do their thing. So I'm just guessing Cyberdyne. I mean, it's hyper intelligent, so it would have to do that. You're right. Why would you blow up your means of manufacturing?
That's what I mean. Yeah, they must have had some control population of
There's
humans.
There's a way you could create phones.
Oh wait, I got an answer for you.
And give you data in.
More exposition from Kyle. I didn't even realize this. He said some of us were captured. Remember, he had the code on them. We were kept to work.
But they had to be captured by something that was created. Like the thing.
But I mean, they built themselves into Terminators, so they had to have some manufacturers from manufacturing level.
So that my point is, back at that time, there wasn't systems that there wasn't machinery that would have built something.
Well, we didn't know when the war happened back then. In the first one, he's vague.
That's true. They did jump ahead, I guess.
They'll say the war will happen in his vague, so we don't know.
After 40 years, this theory's got to be out there somewhere, right? In some fan fiction or something. Like, please hit us up if this is the little bridge I kind of need in my head now, just to be a bit more, have a few more theories on what actually happened. Cheers, Alaska, for ruining this incredible film.
But then the whole thing about,
remember me the whole movie. I was like, what the fuck?
But then there's also the thing about we broke their defense grid and they lost, but they were able to send the Terminator back and we sent Kyle back. But then there's also Terminator 2 where they sent another 2 Terminators back. Well, so when did they do that? Because they blew up. Remember, they said when Kyle went back, we blew it up. It's one-way trip. But they probably had more time displacement.
The time loop that happens because of the hand. And
but also, let's be real. If they built one machine in the future, they probably had another. So they found the other machine. They're machines. Like, let's be real. You know what I mean?
If we're going to start going down this avenue, I was thinking to myself, so that the exoskeleton, boom, I get it. It does have human teeth though. And that made me start thinking.
Well, he did mention, and this is because I'm just so fresh. He said bad breath and everything. Yeah. So they knew there was certain things. Maybe
there's also human tissue as well, right?
How are you the 2 questions arise?
Oh, how do you have enough teeth to?
But how are you? This is such a fucked up. One, how the means and methods to harvesting teeth. How are you harvesting them teeth? Enough teeth, and the ultimate question: do you then have to brush your teeth? Like, does a Terminator then?
I think you do, because if you notice when he starts like pulling out his eye and stuff, like the flesh on him is dying. It's been exposed now. It's now becoming necrotic, and there's like flies on his face.
Exactly.
Which I never noticed before.
Yeah, it's flies. Yeah, because of the blood and things of that nature. So you're right. He's decaying.
So he's starting to rot.
So Terminators brushing their teeth. Terminators having to replace.
But that rotting could have been accelerated with the time displacement.
It could have.
I don't know. I
assume that once it was compromised, that's what, because there's nothing happening. To feel it.
Yes.
Right. But if it's an enclosed system, the flesh and the blood is on the outside. Yeah. You're right. It has to kind of flow in itself. And by that time, it has to exist. Because I do agree with it has to be alive. I don't care how they did it, but it has to be alive because, again, how would it time travel and stuff. So there has to be a system. I don't know if the heart would be like flat and in the skin. You know what I mean? Or something like that.
This
as
is
opposed to the machinery.
Amazing detail to this whole thing. I never thought.
I mean, it could just be like a vacuum pack, right? And then once it breaks,
because it does exist
air
without
gets
it.
Into it.
It's not like it. It's not like it malfunctions without skin or teeth or anything. Look, we saw it. It was limping because it got blown up, but it still moves.
Yeah, it still moves.
Everything still works.
The funny shit is they were probably like, it'd be cool if there was flies, and we're like, well, what about this?
They're like, hey, throw a few flies.
Like, yo, we got this guy. He trains like 4 or 5 flies. He can make them kind of just stay there.
Yeah,
does this thing with whistling.
Guy, I need a documentary on that guy.
The fly guy.
Yeah, the fly guy.
The fly guy. Fly handler.
But do you know what?
Brother.
Do you know, we're talking about the bathroom scene. I know, again, maybe it's my age, but we watched this by the time we were 10, we'd have watched this. And it was the playground where you played out a lot of the scenes. And I have to say, that hotel scene where he's repairing himself, yes, it's the horror vibe. Yes, it's the grimy body horror. But it's the first time I'd ever seen. So there's a few moments in my life where cinema has explained something to me no other person's ever explained to me. Okay. And one was Pulp Fiction and the male rape. I'd never seen that on screen before. That hit hard. Yeah. And 2 was him cutting open and using his veins that are attached to his fingers. And as an 8-10-year-old, I was like, oh yeah, my veins are attached to my fingers, right?
Oh yeah, that's how it works. Yeah.
That's all right. So that's how the human body works. And it was just that I fully realized, we are just, that full realization of we're just bags of blood and bones.
Yes.
Yeah. And that moment of, if anything pierced me, I might die because I'll leak. As a kid, that's where Terminator got me. That's that little moment got me there where I was like, Oh shit! Yeah, we are just
Kyle
like
was
that.
definitely getting fucked up through the boot. Remember, he took the bullet. He's like, "Oh, it went through the meat." Like, you're shot, dummy. Like, he was getting jacked up. And again, the parallels. They arrived at the same time, and Arnold is taking damage, and Kyle is taking damage, and Kyle passes out, and Arnold keeps coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, his damage is inconsequential, while Kyle is just losing it. She's in them, having to throw bombs or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Yeah.
I had a few moments here where I'm like, it's a truly human concept. I reckon this is one of the reasons it lasts forever, is because you have this foreshadowing as well in it, and this humanity to it. And I was like, the foreshadowing is great. On a second rewatch, even on another rewatch, it's great because you get the truck being crushed by a car as he parks up. Brilliant. The real on the nose expositor. What's she say? Hey, in 100 years, who's gonna care? And
yes, like, I did say, in 100 years at the diner. You know what?
Yeah,
what's so good is 100 years, nobody's gonna care.
Yeah, and that moment it is on the nose, but I was like, yeah, obviously it's all there. I talked about the human thinking it's a machine, and that fascinating human curiosity of, are you real or are you not real? Love that. So the foreshadowing of what did she say again about the machines need love too, to talk to Ginger, blah blah. Yeah, man, I had another moment here where I just thought this is one of the best industrial love poems on film, because I've never seen it. Just goes completely off grid at this one point where they go to the future and you see the kids watching TV and you're like, oh,
and it's
TV.
Just a fire inside the empty TV. That's crazy.
They have TV? No, they don't. They're just watching an actual fire burning. This is that is it. Just it's so on the nose, but so kind of perfect for that time. Yeah, man, absolutely amazing. And like I said earlier, very stripped to the bone storytelling. I think these are the moments that, like, you don't need to be schooled upon any kind of film to watch this. Like, you'll get it. The beats are there for you. I had it here, 42 minutes until Reese does the speech. You know, it can't be bargained with. It can't be.
Yeah, in the car. And then also the classic line of "Come with me if you want to live." And because here's the thing: when she says that, she has to immediately trust him. She doesn't know him; he looks creepy.
Yes.
But then when she gets to the police station and she's asking him, he's crazy, right? And she's somewhat relieved, like, okay, he was like really off his rocker because the stuff he was saying is making me like just scared for humanity, much less myself. And then she wakes up out of her sleep with the gunshots, and she's looking around like, yo, motherfucking cops, this thing is still after me. You know what I mean? Like the little subtlety of in detail when I talk about Cameron, when he comes in, I'll be back line. That's not it. The part that's it is, one, before the car comes back in, they do this low shot of him scribbling. And I thought that was such a great shot that like the cops still scribbling, working on notes. But before then, I didn't never notice this until I started watching like breakdown videos. When he asks her, where's she at? And he's like, in the back. And Arnold starts looking around. At the wooden gauge to see, oh, if I bust this thing straight through, I could just walk in. But you don't really notice that. You're just getting onto the, I'll be back. And they made that so iconic. But he's really just it's just so much detail. And when he says I'll be back, after he notices this whole thing is wood and I can run the car through here up the steps.
Like I said, detail, man. Absolutely. The detail. And that's when they use things sparingly as well. Talk about the tech noir scene, Come With Me If You Want to Live. It's so actually well made. Like, they use slow motion really well in it. And sometimes slow motion in the 80s is just overused. Yeah, cheese.
But remember, they have they do the thing with the red dot where the camera is like looking right at the red dot when he points it at her. And then they change perspective and you see the red dot coming right into the camera.
Yeah,
and then that slow motion before Kyle jumps on her.
Yeah, I love that. And I did note down the 80s synth bangers, the 80s synth bangers in the background.
Oh, they'll go crazy. Yeah.
Pictures of You by Jay Ferguson and 16mm, and Burning in the Third Degree by either Christian Patrick or the Triangles. I don't know which one. There's a few different areas. But there you go. Burning in the Third Degree.
Those are our needle drops.
There's your needle drops. There you go.
Wow.
Those are the needle drops of the film. Absolutely. Other moments I had here then, bro, the punk scene, and I know I might be reaching here, but it is like interestingly this film is achingly 80s, but it's also the underbelly of the 80s, and this Bill Paxton cameo is amazing.
Like he has a tire tread on his face.
Tire tattoo.
So because I remember not realizing the details, so I'm like, why did they pull their knives on him? Just because I think when he asked for the clothes, and that's just the response, like, get out of here, we're punks, we got knives. But I just remember like, what was the point of all of that? But
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was like when Jason takes Manhattan and there's like the break dancers.
And he bumps into the one and knocks the hell out of him.
What the fuck? And then they're like, oh, our bad.
Yeah. He bumped them so well, he bumped that girl in the train. Yeah. I've never seen somebody get chin checked. And that's thing, Ken, we're from New York. So sometimes there's a lot of shoulder break. You bump into people, and then sometimes it's intentional. Sometimes you let it go. Sometimes it's accidental. And sometimes you don't even got time. Like you just bump, you just keep on going. So like when Jason would be bumping people, like that's a very New York thing.
Very New York thing.
One of the things in the punk rock scene that I noticed, did you guys ever see the Sylvester Stallone movie Cobra?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't remember it because it's cheap.
Yeah. So the killer in that movie is one of the punks. He's the one. He's like
the guy, yes, with the cheekbones. That guy, he's always been in stuff. He's always like, he might have been in one of the Highlanders.
Yeah.
I think he might have been in one of the Highlanders. Yeah, he has very strong cheekbones, and he's always like standing. Yeah. He's tall.
He's very Russian looking.
So he's
like 80s Russian villain looking.
Oh yeah, perfect for that. Absolutely. Another bit here then, trivia for you. Bill Paxton, the only, and I might be wrong here, but he has the streak of being the only actor killed by Terminator, Alien, and Predator.
Wow.
And Predator, what Predator? In the second one?
Predator 2. Yeah, I think it was 2. Yeah. I think he's in 2.
He was a cop. Was he a cop with?
With Glover.
He was
running around.
Also directed by the power couple and and Academy Award winners both. Not John Carpenter, James Cameron in Terminator.
Yeah.
And Catherine Bigelow in Near Dark. James Cameron.
There we go. I'm enjoying it. I've enjoyed this. See, just drop the trivia. I always love a bit of trivia.
In Frailty, he is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I still need to see that.
Frailty's awesome.
Frailty is excuse me. Wait, I'm wrong. It's McConaughey is in Frailty. No, but so is Paxton.
No, Paxton.
Yeah, it's good, and I'm not gonna.
Really
you don't.
I already know the end. That's what ruined it for me. Like I was watching a video like movies you need
because it's still a twist because you don't know which son is which.
I think it's still good to watch.
Paxton is just crazy. Like he's a religious fanatic, and you realize one son did because they do a little flash and they show the one son does see what the father is seeing. The beginning, the whole movie, they don't show what the father is seeing at all. They just the kids are just taking his word for it and following their father. But one kid does actually see the light and see the darkness around these people, but the other kid is like, "Yo, our dad's crazy. He's just killing people and burying them, and he's not getting caught." So it's.
I would still watch it. I don't even think I ruined it for you. I think it's just good to watch because you're watching a son like, yo, and he's young, like, yo, my dad is wilding. What do I do? And shit, like, I don't know this demon stuff, and my dad is killing people in the basement. Yeah. So it's really good. Good film, man. Really absolutely.
Good. Very good.
I watched this, you talk about breakdown videos the other day, and I saw one on my algorithm had thrown up that how they were trying to signify why punk music is very Terminator, and it just made me start thinking, I suppose it is. I suppose they have the punk attire, they have that underbelly of it. That's
when it started. His first couple of outfits were punk outfits in this movie. So
like the punk music. Did the world see punk music coming, kind of thing? The outsider raging against mainstream society. You have all these kind of similarities, but those things are out there for you if you want them. I want to talk about Dick Miller for 2 seconds because Dick Miller is incredible. Again, possibly actually of all the scenes, that was the one the playground played out the most, where there was like Uzi 9mm. Yeah. I'll have that one. Have you got any? What is it? Plasma pulse rifles.
He's like, look, you only got what you see.
What you can see, dude. He's like, only what you can see.
You know what else? I love the cameo of Lance Hendrickson. Loved him in there because he kept. If you notice, he was always telling a story. And the other black guy who played Martin Luther King, I just can't remember his name. You can look him up for me. The other black cop. I love him because he keeps cutting off. What's his name?
Paul Winfield.
Yes,
Paul Winfield.
He keeps cutting off. Lance Hendrickson. He's like, that reminds me. He's like, here, just go somewhere. Like Lance Hendrickson is annoying him, but he's a great actor. And so these little cameos, again, it's like it's almost like Psycho. You're seeing people that you recognize. They're not gonna die right now. These guys are movie and women are movie stars. So they'll be around. They'll team up with Kyle. They'll hustle him to another place. Nope, it's gonna shoot them too. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah. No, Lance Henriksen actually was the guy who helped get this funded, right? Because he'd dress up as the character and this is apparently what happened. He'd kick open like the door of a meeting and sit down next to the guy who was supposed to be funding the film and like scare the shit out of him as the Terminator. So Lance was in. Lance was balls deep in, like ready to go. And that's why he fucking funded it. Amazing, because Lance jumped
Millennium is so slept on. That was one of my. But they tricked me because I was such an X-Files guy. You could put anything after X-Files. So I was watching X-Files so religiously. You could put any show near X-Files and I would get into it. But Millennium, because it was going along that trope, so even though it was more hard things and pre-eye, and he had like some preternatural precognition and shit like that. It was great. It was great. I actually have it on DVD.
Wicked.
I have Millennium on 2 seasons.
Good one. To round off my Dick Miller love, I just that little, he might have the Canibus feature award where it's like the guy
he's the little Grinchy,
does the little bit bang, and I was just thinking like he has got like he's in the Howling, he's in Chopping Mall.
Oh, isn't he no, he's not. Isn't he like a protagonist in one of these hard things, whether it's a vampire or something, like he pops up.
The Howling, is he not? Is he might be
that one? Is there another one like Fright Night or something like where he's like the guy? But he's somebody's pops.
I don't know. But I do know that he is
in Gremlins.
Yes, Gremlins.
That's what I was thinking of. There it is. Thank you, Last.
Yes,
there it is.
Of course.
The father, yes.
I know, though, he is in Pulp Fiction as a deleted scene now. As a guy never got... He is Monster Joe.
Who was he interacting with?
He's Monster Joe from Monster Joe's junkyard. You know, when the wolf takes Samuel Jackson and John Travolta to the wolf.
They would have seen him when he did junkyard stuff. He would have popped up.
Or there's a scene where he's on the phone to either the wolf.
That would have been great.
Yeah,
the
Dick
wolf
Miller.
talking to him. That would have been great at the junkyard. What do you mean? Like, and knowing the wolves, they would have had a little lingo. That would have been nice. That would have been like 20 seconds.
Yeah,
with their own language. Yeah, that would have been nice.
Didn't make the cut. Yeah. I got a few what ifs here for you guys. A few little moments of fun for us here. Okay, first one, maybe you can answer just because I was just thinking this morning. Why didn't they just send back a nuclear bomb again? Because it has to be human. No, what? What was the thing?
So nothing dead. No, so this is the thing about Terminator. Right. Watching it makes me realize Cameron had to make some concessions because he set a certain bunch of rules. A lot of things that Kyle is saying, they kind of twist. They don't totally break a lot of them in the second one, but they kind of twist. So it's this whole thing about Kyle was saying you can't send anything dead. So then they probably evolved that to nothing inorganic. Mm-hmm. But the kick was if you encase it in something organic, it'll trick the machinery. But Kyle talks about, he said there's a field around the human body. That's what I like. All this stuff is like fresh to me because I watched it this morning. He said so there's there's a field that the human body generates. So I don't know if that's electromagnetic or whatever energy comes off our body, and that is what the machinery reads to send you back. So that's why it needs to have the human skin around it. So if you just you put a thing of metal in there, it's not going to generate this field to activate this transport thing.
Do you know what would make this absolutely clear? Because I heard Cameron, he was on, what was it? The Jason Bateman and is it Will Arnett? They have a podcast, don't they? Smartless or something like that. He was on that. And I remember him saying, if he did make another Terminator, he'd make it much more about like the why behind the Terminator and more like the AI and jump into that. So
like, why did they build Terminators and why did they send them out? Like from their perspective, I guess. Yeah. That. So that would be interesting. Like why did they come up with, all right, Terminators are our solution? Because they're machines. They're sitting in these tanks and they're flying things. They're shooting things. So they have that capability. What made them think? And if you look all around the lore and stuff, they did have the metallic soldiers first. So they had them. Then they started building, remember, because again, I'm sorry. Kyle said they had rubber skin. We could sense them from a while away. Then we got the dogs because they look like us. And so they were making advancements. Why did they want to infiltrate humans that way? What was that advantage? When did they discover that, all right, we need to make a humanoid looking thing to infiltrate, not just send these robots at them, that they're too evasive.
To infiltrate, Yeah, good shout. So this is the one I was thinking, would it ever been a better or worse film if you didn't see the future on the screen and it was kind of left to your own devices?
Imagination.
Two guys come, this guy's chasing the other guy. You do see he's a robot.
It would still be, because like, I remember when I saw Mad Max, my big thing was like, what happened? Like we're just in this place, they're driving around, they're looking crazy with the feathers in their hair. And I remember, I think I seen Beyond Thunderdome first before I saw Australian Mad Max, which is even more desolate. But like, it was a big thing when I'm watching it, trying to like, what happened? Like, you know what I mean? They don't really tell, they don't really say what the catastrophic thing was or whatever it changed, but like, you're still stuck on what happened. Okay, these people are living this way and Tina Turner's killing it, but like, why are we like this? And then nobody stops to tell us, you know what I mean?
The road is like that too. Like,
something happened. Right. Yeah. And then the road is worse because vegetation doesn't grow. Remember, it's that the world is
you're dying. It's just you're dying slow.
And they start eating each other. But it's like, there's no hope. And so it's like when they drop you in the middle of these things and you're itching, like if anybody's a fan of Yellow Jackets, that was the hook. What the hell happened? Yeah, and then what you don't realize in the Yellow Jackets, which I think is their following, I do like the show, but what you don't realize because you're just watching it, you're like, wait a minute, they went through 2 winters. So this thing that they're showing us is only one. Yeah. So there's a whole nother cycle because the winter obviously is the worst time, right? Yeah. When there's animals and stuff, it's cold. So I remember being stuck like, damn. That I'm thinking like, all right, they're going to sum this up in like 5 seasons. I'm like, no, this won't wait because we have to go through a whole nother winter after they went through this first winter that did all this crazy shit to them. Then what happens in the next winter, which will, take time to show. So like stuff like that, like sometimes
From is like that as well. I don't know if you watch From.
Yes, I do watch From. It's coming on Sunday.
Very similar. It's like you're just sort of dropped into this world.
Yes.
From is great. I recommend it, Cam.
I do think people got to go into it. From is very much like Wayward Pines. First season is one thing. And then the second season, they change a lot of the rules. And now it's some other shit, too.
And it looks like the third season is going to be something even different.
So you got to just stay. Yes, you got to stay with it. So it's like, even the questions from the first season that you can get answers from, we're the whole around with it. Shit.
You got to have commitment.
Cam, did you like Lost?
I didn't watch all of it, I'll be honest, and kind of fell out of love with it a little bit. So,
did you watch it in time or did you watch it later?
Oh, right. It was probably in time. Watched the first season, and then I was like, no.
I totally skipped it. Zilla was so into you saying Darman and shit with me all the time.
I have friends who were well.
And I didn't know him. I think me and Zilla met when it was kind of wrapping up type thing, and then I went and watched it as a binge, and he told me that's very unique because there was it was every week. So it was that serial thing. And so the cliffhangers meant more and the discourse meant more. What does this mean? And the numbers and shit. Well, I just watched. I just breezed through it and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the conversation around it was a big part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was very pop culture, wasn't it? Very monoculture.
Yeah, it's like True Detective was similar like that.
Yeah, first season was big. Yeah,
absolutely.
Racing them out.
Amazing.
And then Game of Thrones became that. It wasn't like that from the beginning, but Game of Thrones definitely became.
Definitely. Red Wedding, mate. Red Wedding, that was it.
Yeah.
So the future ones, I'd like to see the cut though, with no future, just to see how it runs. How about this? Now, James Cameron didn't think he made a believable killer, but OJ was up for the role of the Terminator. Now,
I think there'd be so many racial undertones of the black man being relentless chasing this white woman and her white knight that's come back to say, I think you couldn't do it. Now, mind you, it doesn't seem on the surface that it has any racial implications, but if I would have put OJ in that role and stretched that out over an hour and a half, and it's just guy, he won't stop, that's too much Birth of a Nation. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's it. He's not stopping, and then you're tearing away his flesh, and he's all muscular. I don't think that image. They wouldn't want it. This naked black man stealing people's clothes, like all of those things are like taboo in '84 or whatever like that.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would have worked.
I also don't know if OJ could have pulled it off.
You think you needed somebody like with Arnold's stature, that like big burly?
Well, OJ was a huge dude.
Yeah,
he was a big dude. Arnold was a shitty actor back then.
I think so. That's the robot,
thing. Yes. So that led to that robotic nature that really worked. Yes.
Whereas like OJ,
the delivery,
OJ was.
He would have been acting. He would have saw him acting like a robot.
And I don't know if knowing what we know about OJ, he probably
could have pulled
has that dark side to tap into. Yes. But he is more like he's Nordberg.
That's what I was gonna say. You need dialogue from him for his shit to work. How many words did Arnold say in this movie? If anybody looked that up, 20.
I don't know. Yeah, if that.
Like it's very light. And so that Nordberg thing that you're talking about, his like OJ worked because he could talk funny and make fun of himself, and it was his voice, right? And so if you have him as the Terminator saying 10 words in the first hour, it has to be the menacing. It has to be that silent look of this guy's dangerous, and he's on. Like even when he hones in on Olasaris, he's not like get down, bitch, or run for your life. He doesn't say a word. That's big. A killer that doesn't say a word. That's what goes to the monster tropes. Jason don't talk.
But then he has the word of recall where it'd be like fuck you. He has a multiple choice.
I love that
answer.
word.
It's like fuck you asshole. Just because he learns it from the punk at the beginning. Great, it's great work. So that's on Arnie. I was just going to say before we get to the categories. I know I've had you for a bit, but the categories. I was thinking. Perfect actor for that time and that role. I do think Arnie and the Terminator fit because, like you said, he was a bad actor then. He was just coming up. I think he was like still in his late 30s, maybe.
Yeah. I think he was coming off Conan. Yeah,
coming off Conan.
And that was a bad acting job. Like he's thinking he's killing it, but
it was a similar, like stoic, non-speaking ass.
Role. Yeah. Look at my body and my main affair.
So this is that perfect actor for the perfect role at that time. So I have a list of a few I made. I was wondering if you had any that you want. So perfect actor for the perfect role at that time. I had, the obvious one is Freddie in England, Robert England, Nightmare on Elm Street. I think at that time, Denzel as Malcolm X was kind of perfect at that time.
Well, he looked like it, which is scary as fuck.
Yeah.
Because nobody really looks like Malcolm. Malcolm's much lighter than Denzel in terms of skin tone. But something they did about his hair and the way it was the angle of the shot with the glasses. And I was like, oh my fucking God. Like he looks like Malcolm.
Yes.
And also obviously what was selling it was Denzel's ability to give those speeches.
Yes.
So once you heard the speech, especially the big Harlem speech at the big Muslim like FOI meeting they were having out in the street. Yeah. And he said, Plymouth Rock. And that's not even how the speech is. He kind of flubbed a little bit and made up some stuff. When you hear that, you see the glasses, you see the little red hair. You're like, oh shit, this Malcolm. And for anybody that never really even saw what Malcolm looked like, Malcolm wasn't in everybody's current memory when that dropped. Like, you know what I'm saying? People know Martin Luther King, there's pictures of him, but Malcolm is a little bit more to the side. You got to go and go to the library and look at microfiche. Remember how you had to, in the libraries, I had to scroll up through these newspapers. We had this cabinet American, so you have to really go dig to see pictures. And again, he wasn't popular and wasn't prolifferated. Yeah. So Denzel is some people's, if you ask people, that's what they think Malcolm X looks like is Denzel.
That's exactly what I'm talking about right now, where they become one, they become synonymous.
Yes.
I have Daniel Day-Lewis in There'll Be Blood. I have Cage in, I think at that time, Face Off might be the one where he's kind of perfect for that because he can play both roles.
Because he was wild.
He was absolutely wild. He was
squeezing on the girl in the
absolutely
church.
Crazy.
Samuel Jackson is Jules.
Jules.
I've got that down here. Exactly. Perfect.
Yeah.
Didn't they have the guy who's the barman was going to be that? And you were like, still wouldn't have worked. The guy in King of New York, he's also the barman. He's, my name's and this between your, my name's Paul, this between your, that guy. Yeah. I think he was supposed to play Jules as one of the people. And apparently he fucked up the interview. Like he was so annoyed he had to come back and do an audition for Jules again. The second time he did it, I think he was eating a burger. I think he was just fucked off with it all and delivered, apparently. I got Philip Seymour Hoffman as the Master. I love him in that. And then
I like Philip Seymour Hoffman. Unfortunately, I just think it's such an ill role in Boogie Nights.
Oh yeah, I
always think of
Sinetsky, New York. Yeah, that was the other one I had.
Big. But in Boogie Nights, he was playing that meek guy that fallen in love with him, and he made a move on him. And I was like, damn, his belly's hanging out. That was very, it's 70s. Like he had to very much get in type. He goes into the car and cries. I always think that's incredible to see him do that. Because if you watch the movie through, you see him kind of lusting at him, holding the thing, licking his lips, like he's very, you know what I'm saying? It's just very good.
Perfect.
What about Michael J. Fox's Marty McFly?
Oh God, that was made for him.
Who was that supposed to be? Eric Stoltz, wasn't it? That was supposed to be Eric Stoltz.
Yeah, and you can't. But here's the thing: you can't think of anybody but Michael J. as Marty. Like you can't think of Marty as taller or faster. It has to be the short kid, little engine that could.
That's a really good one, actually.
Beats the bullies are bigger than him. It has to be that. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
I have one last one in my head, a case where it's the perfect role for the perfect actor, and I've got the doctor in the Terminator, the psychotherapist or whatever he is.
Oh God, I wanted to talk about him.
Yeah. Earl Bowen.
I think legendly, he's in every Terminator. Everyone that kind of matters, he's in everyone.
Incredible.
And to think, remember he says, I can make a career out of this guy. And then the fact that they turn him into this and Terminator 2.
And he does. Yeah.
Oh,
peak knobhead.
Great. When he drops the little needle thing out of his mouth.
Yeah, absolute peak knobhead. I hate him. And he's perfect. His face is perfect. He's perfect for this role. So two in this
I had him as my Canibus feature award.
Oh, please, let's go. Let's go into that.
Yeah.
Let's go into Canibus. I did have, before we get into the categories, there was one where I was saying the best opening 5-film run. Now, you guys can think about it, hit us up later or whatever, but people out there, crate808@gmail.com, all of this stuff, let us know, because I actually want to know about who you think has the greatest opening run, and where does Cameron fit in it?
In terms of their first 3 or 5 films?
So I went, so Cameron's run is probably the Terminator, Aliens, The Abyss, Terminator 2, and then True Lies. For whatever you think about that film, it was a huge hit. So I think those are the 5. And I was looking, just putting it up against, like, personally, Kubrick for me. I don't think you're going to. I think Kubrick's is bulletproof. Strange Love, Odyssey, 2001, Clockwork Orange, Barry Lyndon, and The Shining. Like, you can't. I
still have not watched Barry Lyndon, but I will.
Bro, it is stunning. But
is that a one-shotter? Is that what it is? That
a lot of few one-shotters, but every frame is a painting in that film.
I got it.
But The Shining, bro, like you're dropping that, just like holy shit. So, but again, you got Tarantino, Fincher,
then what
Carpenter.
about Scorsese or them, like with all of
Scorsese's, bro, keeps getting interrupted by like he doesn't have a 5-filmer.
Okay,
I checked. And Spielberg, another one. So Spielberg has these.
but this Spielberg is like an institution, American wise. Like he's tasked to make, E.T. and Titanic. Like he's, we're giving you these big giant projects to do for Americana. That's what I always feel like when it's Spielberg.
True.
It's like America needs a nice, good shot in the arm of good joy. What's Spielberg doing? Give him Pinocchio or something. You know what I mean?
True.
Like,
but he does drop Schindler's List on us, and that
was heavy. But AI, is that his? That's his off Kubrick's, right?
Terrible.
Oh, Kubrick's.
But his early work, like he did Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah, I was gonna say with Homeboy, that's big.
Jaws.
Who did Cocoon?
Oh, good question. That looks like someone. Who's the guy?
That's why it looks like somebody we would know because
Richie from Happy Days. It's a Richie from Happy Days film.
Ron Howard.
Ron Howard. No, it just feels like a Ron Howard film.
It does. You're right. And who did Batteries Not Included?
Oh, that might be.
That's a Ron Howard. Because there's a lot of little sci-fi in here.
No, is Battery not included Joe Dante? No, I'm thinking of...
I have to look it up, but I think so, yeah. So stuff like, stuff like that, the feel good, the old people. That's why I was bringing Cocoon, because I remember Cocoon was a big hit. Had a lot of older actors in it at that time. So if you were of that age, you remember them when they were younger and they were all in this Cocoon movie.
Yeah.
And I think Dreyfuss is one of them in there.
I think he is. Yeah. So there you go. 5 opening run films, 5 run whatever fucking. Do you know what I mean?
Because if you go Carpenter, he has some duds. That's why.
Although I have a Carpenter 5 here for you in case he popped up.
You skip something. What?
Bro, no. Precinct 13, Halloween, The Fog, Escape from New York, and The Thing. I think that's top tier. Like, even with The Fog in there.
But it's funny, all of the sequels of those are like Escape from LA's trash. Like, all of the ones, everything that's like
true. Halloween 2. Yeah, okay.
Halloween 2 is trash.
But Fincher's one here for you. 7, The Game, Fight Club, Panic Room, Zodiac. That's right up there.
I love The Game. And you know what, fellas? I still don't think I watched Zodiac. I don't think I've seen it.
Bro,
it's one of those things I think I convinced myself, like watch clips or I read about the movie, or you know what I'm saying? But I don't think I've seen it. But I love The Game. I remember I have The Game on VHS. It was just I was into Michael Douglas, you know what I mean? It was just a great what's going on movie, and they don't let you know until like the last 5 minutes.
That's it.
So what about this one? Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Kill Bill 1 and 2.
Yeah, see that
pales in comparison to Spike. She's gotta have it. She's gotta have it. Do the Right Thing. What's next? Jungle. No More Better Blues.
Yeah.
And then Jungle, and then I think X. Yeah. I could be a little off with the order, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
But then you could also take it after that even and go...
What, Girl 6 and then...
I was thinking Girl 6. I never saw...
Girl 6 is in it. That's what I'm saying. These are the duds. But what were you going to say after X?
But hold on, I'm pulling it up right now.
Bro, he's got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I would say... 8 film run as an opener. She's Got to Have It, School Days, Do the Right Thing, Mo Better Blues, Jungle Fever, Malcolm X, Crooklyn, and Clockers.
I love Clockers.
Clockers is amazing. I rewatched that recently.
Zilla hates Clockers because Zilla loves the book. The book is about the cop, and Clockers is about everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Because Harvey Keitel's the cop in the movie, but he's inconsequential. Oh, but here's the thing I love about Clockers. The story don't make sense. It doesn't make sense. We don't know if the guy shot them, who shot what, when they got the shot. You let him go. He goes and rides trains. What are we doing? Like, it doesn't make any sense at all.
True.
He might have more classics than anybody.
Spike?
Yeah.
Spike's
got a few.
I know I'm a homer with him, but he's great.
25th Hour.
I love the Five
Man.
Bloods, but a lot of people don't.
I like the Five Bloods. I love Black Klansman, bro.
Black Klansman, great. Black Klansman
doing
really
High and Low.
that.
I don't know if you watched High and Low, Kurosawa, but he's doing a Kurosawa that is very hard to do. Like, High and Low is incredible. So if he can pull off High and Low, I don't want to do an Old Boy.
Oh, that's what he's working on now. The Old Boy was bad.
Yeah.
Because it was just...
Come on.
You need the cultural sense. You can't put Brolin in there. It's very Japanese, right? It's Japanese, right?
Korean.
And it's Korean. And it has to be Korean. You know what I'm saying? For like,
exactly.
I watched Old Boys, like he just drops him. He's the whole thing of the capture and the containment. They missed that with the new Old Boy.
Yeah.
There was something about the first one. It's like, why is he being held? You're just watching him. You're sitting there wondering, what's going on here? He doesn't know why he snapped. So you get into that rhythm of watching him being held and he's dropped out. So now you're in another part of the movie. And that really got me with Old Boy. The hallway scene, that's great. The tongue cutting, the octopus, all that's great. But it's that setup. And it's like, again, one of those movies like, what's going on here? But I'm in it. And I think the second Old Boy, it's a lot lost because we kind of seen the rug pull of he's captured and we don't know why. Yeah. We already know why. So now you're doing it again and it's just beat by beat and it's just too American.
Yeah.
No way.
So I have some categories here then. Look, actually, last bit of trivia for you in case you didn't know this. Terminator being Terminator. Originally, there was a second soldier with Reese. Cameron wrote it down, but so the story was that he jumped down with Reese, but in a freak accident, he materializes in the wrong place.
Wall, yes, I did see that.
And he gets
so
impaled.
Reese would look up and see him like half in the wall, half out.
Yes, and he was like impaled on some shit.
I was going to think about that because I was like, how do they know, especially if they blow up the machine, where they're putting somebody in the past? Like, is he going to be in a wall? Like, is the Terminator going to land safely or is it going to be in that garbage truck and malfunctioning? I just think about that. But like to Alaska's point, in the second one, this is where they're adjusting the rules. The spear erases everything around it. So you wouldn't be inside something. Whatever was around you was evaporated, like the wall.
But I think he said he was impaled on something, so he dropped.
Oh, he dropped and
landed on something.
I got you.
And Reese kind of looks up and sees he's like, mate, just impaled. And this is a great Easter egg, and I didn't spot this till later, much later. So Arnie's looking through the phone book, blah blah. He's going through Sarah Connor's name. There's a few Sarah Connors, and he's going with his right finger. Yeah. So as a Terminator, he's reading really quick, like that. His left finger doesn't move, and if you actually freeze frame, his left finger is on John Connor. There's a John Connor that he's so they read with both eyes,
which would make sense. But that's great. That little bit. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, but who
crazy
is that even? It's a blink and you'll miss it.
Yes.
How is important is that? And as an editor and a filmmaker that this is really like 0.7 seconds of actual. They also understand like what's in your peripherals. When you're looking at something, what can you comprehend before it goes to something else?
That's the detail.
So they know there's two things to comprehend. We're looking at the Sarah Connor, but over here, if you have that duality of brain, you'll see he already got his finger on John Connor, but we can't because our attention is on the Sarah Connor.
On this, exactly. So as a robot, you can do both. Yeah.
And I don't know if this was a thing because this was like right around the time like home movies took off.
Okay, yes.
People weren't rewatching movies like that back then.
No. They would watch it one time in the theater.
Bang.
And then you would go home with the knowledge and talk to people at your job and school about it, and that's about it. And no, you would watch it again when it came on TV, but remember that cycle was so long. A movie wouldn't come on TV till another 3 or 4 years. And
you don't even know what's going to be. Like that could end up just being
it could just be on.
Yeah, that part, yes.
And it could just be on as well. Like you wouldn't know.
And then also the thing of that, there was that transfer rate people didn't notice. Movies fit a certain ratio, and when it went to TV, they shrunk it. They cut things off the sides. They didn't do letterbox. You would miss stuff in movies because of the way they were fit for TV.
He really just did that for himself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Arnold, make sure you keep your finger up here. What? Yeah. For what? Arnold don't know. Keep your finger right here.
This is what even Arnie does.
Just fucking do it, Arnie.
But there's all these moments of but they feed the greater lore, right? So there's another one which is like Arnie. This is a rumor I heard as a kid. I haven't gone back to study this, but Arnie taught himself not to blink. That was the thing on the playground. That when he shoots, he doesn't even blink. And you're like, what?
Oh, so that staring game. There is a staring game. There's a non-blinking game.
Yeah. So when he shoots, the Terminator doesn't blink.
But I heard you have to train yourself for that because
So
Homeboy did it in the second one. He had to train himself not to blink and also not to flinch when when they shot the blanks and stuff.
Yeah. And another one that we spotted when we were quite pissed at the end of the pub as a kid watching it. You're like, oh my! So you know the dogs are the only things that can tell a Terminator and a human kind of vibe. And he comes in, smells the back of his hand. There is a moment, and I can't remember, it's like maybe before the motel or whatever, but she goes, you know what it is? It's when she calls her mum. The idiot calls her fucking mum.
Yeah.
Calls her mum. No,
second time she was free. You heard
the dog barking on the other end when she was on the phone with him?
Exactly.
Oh.
So, but not just that, Kyle, before that, as she goes to the payphone, Kyle Reese comes up. There's just a dog, and he puts his hand out instinctively to show the dog he's human.
Yes.
And it's like, oh shit, yeah, that's that little kind of wrinkle from the future that he takes with him, which I know people do that anyway, but he genuinely just does that to say, I'm not a Terminator. And just little moments like that, man. Should we move into the categories?
Another horror trope that comes up because when the Terminator comes to the hotel, the dog starts barking.
Yes, you hear it.
All the slasher movies. They do
train us Pavlov. There's something that initiates the thing is come. But that's what Halloween used to catch me. She'd look out the window and he's standing there. That used to freak me the fuck. He's down the block, but there'd be no sound. They wouldn't do the audio cues. Like at some Halloween stuff, they wouldn't do audio cues for him.
Yeah,
he would just be back there. They'd be like, nah, yo, I ain't like that at all. I ain't like that at all.
Oh, I kind of love that. I kind of love it.
Now, Halloween, my dad used to do this trick on me. I'll tell the people. So if you wanted me to, I had a problem with listening to my father. I grew up with my mother. So I had a problem sometimes listening to my dad. Mm-hmm. So in order to get me to do certain things, I'd be at my grandmother's house and he would put Halloween on in the back room. And I was terrified. And I'd run up to the front room. It's like a hallway in the apartment. And he put it on the front TV too. So I'd be frozen in the middle. Like I couldn't go to the back room and I couldn't go to the front room. He'd be like, vacuum that rug. And I'd just vacuum. So I went up there. But that piano, oh man, that froze me dead in my rights, man. Look, I was built wrong in the sense that like horror was introduced to this man like when I was 5, I went to the theaters to see Poltergeist.
Yeah.
As a 5-year-old. I spent the next 8 years scared of everything, scared of meat, scared of braces, scared of closets, scared of toilets, scared of comforters. Everything was scary. Because the clown, the tree. Like when the tree and the clown is grabbing you, nature and like where's your respite?
This is a bit like that clip that I sent you, Alaska, where
that's also that's actually Toby Hooper, right?
Yeah, Toby Hooper. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. This is a thing I sent you, Alaska, where they have a 70s film crew, TV crew outside an Alien premiere, and the dad took his like 8-year-old. Yeah. And he's like, what do you think? Why do you think it was? I think it was an important film for him to watch. I thought it was an important piece of cinema. And you're like, holy shit.
Dude, I saw that. Jaws when I was 5.
Yeah.
What was going on? There's another one that really scared me. It's I'm wrong, but I think it was called Blood Beach. Right. And the beach was sucking people in and spitting out blood. Oh, hell no. We go to the beach all the time. I'm not going to no beach. And I used to wear slippers and I didn't want to step on the sand. Oh, I hated Blood Beach, yo. That's crazy. How you doing that to a kid? Like the Towering Inferno and what was the other one with the ship turned upside down? Yeah, I can deal with those. I'm not on a ship a lot and I don't live in a high rise at that time. So like those things are like far off disasters. Like, oh man, look at that. Or volcano, like, oh man, there's no volcano. I don't live with you. But things that could really happen to me, no way, brother.
That's why like exorcism movies and religious horror don't work for me.
Yeah.
Because you just don't think you'll be in that situation or be that much of a
because I don't believe in fucking God and the devil.
Yeah. So it won't work. But then what happens when you do hear the people speaking another, because it does happen that the other languages and speaking out of themselves, you just think that's disassociative.
At that point it's too late. At that point it's too late anyway. Like if I'm going.
Now here's my thing. Now whether you believe in the God, devil, I believe in spirits and there's stuff out there. So I just don't want to open myself up for it. That's why I'm not too big on the Halloween stuff and Ouija boards, just in case. And I also have had experiences with people in the supernatural, like in person. So I'll just leave it where it's at.
So I've had 2 things. I stayed in a house once, like we rented a house and I stayed there and it felt like I was being watched the entire time.
You feel like eyes on you. Like,
felt it. Like everywhere I went in that house, I felt it. Every time I went around a corner, I expected to see something.
Oh, shit,
I had a picture of my grandfather that my mom painting type thing. We kept it in the house the whole time after he died. And my dog was staring at the picture. My dog stares. But the difference was he was staring at the picture for a while and then he came in my room and was just staring in the corner. Something he never does. And looking at the corner for like 40 minutes. So I was like, oh, my grandfather's here. because he was looking, and dogs don't really look at things. You know what I'm saying? So when I saw him that, and I also had a girlfriend that could talk to people, and she was talking to people while I was around. And then one time, the other thing I have a long hallway in my apartment. My mom still lives there. And so it makes it dark at that end.
Yeah.
And I could have sworn there was like a figure and they reached. It was late. You couldn't tell me it wasn't a figure because the shadow just moved like that. Like it came closer and reached. But then when I went into, my more peripheral where I could see more, it kind of went away or something like that. I didn't feel anything, but it looked like, and it felt like, you know what I mean? But things. So my thing is, I don't want to test fate.
Don't want to test it.
I don't want, like Whoopi Goldberg's, I don't want to be open and then somebody jump in my body and tells me that somebody killed. You know what I'm saying? Like that happened to Whoopi. I know it was a movie, but it did happen to Whoopi. And she was very caught unawares and shit. Ghost.
So absolutely. There was a thing that happened in the 80s called the Hudson Valley Lights, which are UFO sightings.
Okay.
And I remember seeing it as a kid. Like we were driving and my dad was like, what the fuck is that? And it was like a big circular shape of lights.
What?
And the official story that came out was it was people on like hover bikes. Like those pep bikes, like where you could like, I don't know,
not that time, like this certain sector. So like,
come on.
With me it was that movie Fire in the Sky that really did it for me.
Yeah. But see, I kind of just, I was like, oh, okay, that must be what it was. And it wasn't until years later when I started hearing podcasts about it that there was all these things happening. And I grew up near Indian Point Nuclear Power Plant, which was a big center for it.
Right.
So it was like,
mad. Yeah.
I don't know. The alien thing got to be right. It's just too many stories. They line up. I understand mass hypnosis. So you hear 40 stories about grays. So when you see alien, you think they're, grays, this shape and all that stuff. And then there's other ones. But man, when X-Files hit, I was like, man, I fucking told y'all. Like it just, I don't care if it was fake. I'm one of those people that feels like the government helps out with these stories.
Yeah, exactly.
So they'll sneaks. They'll slip things in, and so to make the public kind of okay. And I have a longer story about that, but let's keep running.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Well, look, I've got a few categories. We can rifle through these. If the Terminator was a hip hop album, what would it be? Now, I've got a few here for you, and if you look at it literally, if you're looking at literal kind of Terminator, Fun Crusher Plus is right there because they do indeed crush the fun of the film right at the end. Cold Vein, because obviously a robot would have a cold vein, I would have thought. This also jumps into our other category, Alaska. Where does Company Flow fit in this horror film? Because that's one thing we're trying to crowbar in. And I was thinking the Fun Crusher Plus kind of works.
But feel like where doesn't it fit?
Where doesn't it fit? Where doesn't it fit is a great point. And the other one I was looking at is a man on a mission leaving scorched earth behind him. I had Don Illuminati 7 Day Theory because those Fun Crusher, Don Illuminati were my two. Did you have any, Alaska?
I got the easy one.
I could see like America's Most Wanted, maybe like sort of similar thing, like that scorched earth, like tearing everything down. Rubber Room sonically could fit there.
Oh, Rubber Room's good one.
Yeah.
Good shout.
But like also like I just think of like Freddie Fox or like Freddie Fox or Willie D, like
big stature guys.
Someone's beating the shit out of someone.
I was gonna say 8 Ball. Phantom.
Oh, good one.
We're talking apocalypse.
Nice.
The inevitability of man, machine. I definitely think Liff was talking with those terms.
I like that.
But like stalking and inevitability and like an unstoppable force, if we're going on the Terminator side of things, that's DMX.
Yeah.
It's DMX.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, hot.
It's not going to stop. It keeps coming. It's waves of this motherfucker. You know what I mean?
I enjoyed that. Most hip hop moment of the film. I have the whole air of "Fuck the Police" is very strong. That odor is.
This is not propaganda, ladies and gentlemen. There's no propaganda here.
Exactly.
They're bumbling idiots most of the time.
Absolutely. There is the moment where the guy says, "You look like shit," and he goes, "Your mama." And I think your mama joke is very hip hop, and it's not hip hop, but it's totally ridiculous that even the one black guy that you're casting in the corridor is still like, "God damn!" When he walks past him, and you're like, "Come on, give him another line." Like, when you're like, "This black guy's got the
with
same."
The guns. It's like, "God damn, yeah,
God damn!" Like that when he's walking.
I'm with Alaska. It got to be the sneakers.
It wasn't the laser scope. The laser scope became a big thing in like 90s.
You're right. You're right.
Okay.
In the videos. It was in the NWA video. Yep.
Yeah.
Belly. In the Belly video as well for the music video with Nas and that. Yeah, great shout. Laser scope. Yes. Best needle drops we've talked about. The title sequence of is incredible. Best rap song to lay down a Skynet montage to. And I thought if you kicked off this whole film with Run for Cover by Rakim and Eric B, that might, because it literally starts off with the sounds of war, and then if you just did that first thing, that could work. I think Run for Cover with a faster pace.
It's more techno to me. I would go like Man from U.N.C.L.E. It just sounds like we should be hearing machinery.
Machinery. You know what I mean? Okay, I like that.
I did it as Fixing Your Cybernetic Arm and Eye, and I went with Mighty Healthy by Ghostface.
Oh shit!
Oh, nice.
Got both hands crusty.
Both hands. Very good. Dusty. Very good. I like that. Worst rapper to be stuck in a future Skynet with, and I have DJ Khaled, because the amount of technology that man uses just on his daily life, can you even imagine him without any of it and having to live with him? That would be the worst.
I mean, I always shout him out, but I couldn't deal with Islord. He'd be cloning himself. So in 4 years, it'd be 5 Islords, 20 Islords. I can only do one.
My answer to this question for every movie is going to be Kanye.
Yeah, I know. I have a feeling.
You think he is a Terminator?
Would be the worst person to be stuck doing anything.
I think there might have to be a subtopic here then, Alaska, which is what would it make for you to survive with Kanye? What would we need to give you for you to have to deal with Kanye in Skynet? But please think on that.
A gun with one bullet for him.
And I'm surviving. But best rapper to be stuck in a future Skynet with. And I have two here, mainly because they're more skilled on the art of war probably than I am. Lupe Fiasco and Immortal Technique. I was thinking those two.
No, I want the most prepared. Master Ace.
Master
Ace is the most well prepared and well executed MC live I've ever seen, that I've ever worked for, doing shows with. It's Master. I've never seen the level of perfection that he goes out there and takes it serious. Small room, big room, outdoors, indoors. E equals MC squared, him by himself. Mm-hmm. No backing track.
That. Yeah.
Master Ace.
Master Ace. Alaska?
I'm going with Tajay. Based off what I know about him, like he builds things. He has weapons. He's sort of...
That's good.
He has... survivalist aspects.
He's a self-sustainability cat. Yeah, he's a self-sustainability cat.
I'm very hip.
Yeah, I'm going with Tajay.
I think Tajay might be the end, being the answer to
Tajay's Kyle Reese.
Yeah,
give him 5 minutes and a Woolworths. He'll have us locked up and loaded, man.
You can't reason with him. But here we go. What one rap song or rap cameo? Rap song I have. So you're in the club. If you had to put a rap song, a modern one in, I'd put Banana Clipper, Run the Jewels in that club. It has a spaced out kind of sci-fi feel. That could soundtrack like the Terminator as well. At Terminator.
Know the Ledge.
And Know the Ledge. Know the ledge. I mean, come on. Is that ever
just the tension building and building?
Yeah. I'm enjoying that.
I'm going with God damn it, what's the name of the song? It's Dre and Snoop. It's from the Chronic, like the first single.
The Gin and Juice one?
No, it's like Dre Day, I think. Like
Dre Day.
Dre Day.
Yes.
Because you know what it is?
Because
what's funny about that song is that's not the name of the song.
No.
And that's why it's Dre motherfucking Day or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of those songs is like these abbreviated versions of the songs. So when you go looking for them,
and it's LA. You're right.
Them. Yeah.
Rap cameo, I had, if you put Donald Glover as a cop in the cop, that'd be quite cool. Or if he was the second soldier that might have survived with Reese, I would have gone with Donald Glover.
I even go with 187, Undercover Cop.
187.
Oh, good one, yeah.
187. It works so well.
That's dope.
That's the one. Right. Other than this, I've got you could replace one character or actor in this film with Cool Keith. Who would it be? And I'm going with the iguana. Like, if that iguana had some inner dialogue, or so, she has an iguana as a pet, which is, I have no idea if it's 80s or not.
Don't forget, it keeps getting out.
It keeps getting out, exactly, yeah. So I could see Cool Keith as the inner dialogue as the iguana, absolutely.
You win that one. I have nothing.
I went with Kyle Reese. I just think
wow.
What he's running towards the Terminator. It's so wacky. He'd be doing the exact opposite.
He would just come in with different personas.
Yes, absolutely. He could be the Terminator's other voices, I suppose, when he wants to. Yeah, good shout. Best kill for you guys?
Oh, it has to be the first one with the heart pull.
The heart pull.
Just never seen nothing like that.
I like the trash compactor or the compactor scene on the Terminator.
Yes.
That's dope.
Yeah, I enjoy that. I wish the kill was the kid putting the ice cream in the pocket, because that really, I don't know why, it just really, she's just trying to do her work.
The most shocking kill, though, for me was the first Sarah Connor kill. Because I just didn't understand
that one for me.
She was wearing, it was like Alaska said, she was broad daylight. She's wearing day clothes. Doesn't look like she's a harm or anything. And he's this hulking man wearing punk attire.
Yeah.
She was with like laser scope.
Exactly. Love that. Last one then, before you go, 1984 Oscar cast swap. Oscar cast swap from 1984. So I'm going to go to the Oscars. You've got to put one of these actors in the cast somewhere and take someone out of the Terminator. So we're going Robert Duvall, Michael Caine, Tom Conti, Albert Finney as the actors. And so any of those get in there somewhere if you had to swap. And then best actress, I've got Shirley MacLaine, Jane Alexander, Meryl Streep, Julie Walters, or Deborah Winger. As I'm guessing we'd take either Ginger or Linda Hamilton's role.
Well, I mean, there's space to replace the Doctor with a female actress. I think he's such a clever character, and he goes on in Legacy and the other Terminators to make him her.
I'm saying,
she made her career out of this guy.
I would say Julie Walters or Meryl Streep as the Meryl
Streep as the Terminator.
Oh wow.
He's the best actor.
So where's she knocking on doors selling Avon?
She's the best actor in the history of Hollywood.
How is she getting into people's houses? She's selling Avon. Avon lady.
And she went on to play the Iron Lady later on.
So my God, it's all coming together. Look at this. You know what I mean? This is why we play.
Streisand, Kaiju in South Park.
Oh, nice. Oh, man, we are podcasting now, right at the end. I love this. This is great work. Okay, I want to take Robert Duvall, actually, as the police chief. That would have been...
that'd be good. He could also be good as the gun shop owner.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yes, hey, just what you see, pal. Yeah, absolutely. Just what you see, pal. That's it. Yeah, I love that. Okay, there we go. We made it. The Terminator, 40 years, including lots of incredible tangents for you all to enjoy. Guys, let me leave you with the last question I'm going to ask on these horror pods then. The last great thing you watched. Could be old, could be new. Just the last great thing you watched. Alaska, I will go with you first, mate.
I just finished watching the Paramount Plus series Nothing But a Good Time about hair metal.
Oh,
it's a documentary series on hair metal, and it was fantastic.
Oh, I
watched a few things, but the one thing that stood out, because I didn't want to drop it in a rhyme, is this movie about Kowloon City, that old ancient packed in Hong Kong territory that they knocked down in the 90s.
Yes.
And it was like riddled with crime. And what was so good about it, it was packed in, and it was like lawless, and certain gangs ran it and stuff. But during the credits, and it was an action movie, people were fighting through the levels like they do. Great wire work. Chow Yun-Fat's in it. I think Yen is in it. But what's great is that during the credits, they show all of the workers that were in this city and show them making eggs and making things to show that there was an actual society there. And I'm so caught up on nostalgia and making sure people remember that these things did exist, because they raised the whole thing. So in most people's minds in modern Hong Kong, if they were young, they don't know anything about Kowloon City. And the fact that people existed there and they found a way to siphon electricity and work together and build these things. If you look up Kowloon City, it looks incredible. Like, how did they even do this? It's so compacted. It was the most highly dense populated square footage in the world at one point. And they made a movie about it, and it's very martially based, but like the human part of it really got me when I was watching the credits, and they were showing the shop owners and making sweets and treats, and the kids delivering things and working with their families, and like, oh, this wasn't just a crime-ridden gangster thing like the Carter. This was a society at one point, and government got involved and knocked it down, but it was like homemade. So I really loved that. That movie was really good.
I'll have to check
I can't remember what it's called. It's something. Let me look it up. Really, I just want to make sure I get it right while y'all talking. Something Kowloon City.
Amazing. Last great thing for me, I'll go Industry. I've been watching Industry on HBO. I don't know what's going on with the financial shit. It doesn't make any sense. But every character is an absolute piece of shit, and that's
Twilight of the Warriors, Walden.
Twilight of the Warriors. Okay, there you go.
There you go. Twilight of the Warriors, Walden.
Boom. Right. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you go off and spread the horror lore. Halloween's upon us almost soon. Jesus Christ. But yeah, Terminator, I've absolutely loved this chat. Next up, I think we've got Nightmare on Elm Street coming up soon as well. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre. 40, 50 years old. Jesus Christ.
Those are Alaska's favorites.
Bro, that's why we play. That's
the greatest movie ever made.
I never got into Nightmare like other people. I told you I got into it like with Dream Warriors and it came back around.
Okay.
I didn't even know people were in it. It's very
I watched it last night, so I got some thoughts.
Yeah, man. Me too. My first ever horror film I watched.
Was Nightmare on Elm Street the first one?
First one.
Yeah. Wow.
So this is going to be special. But yes, thank you, peeps. Peace and love, and just keep smashing it. Absolutely. Peace.
All right, y'all.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.